What's up, everybody? My name is Hillbill, and welcome to my channel Vagabum, where we discuss motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. If you guys watch my channel for a while, you know that a couple of weeks ago I had the privilege of traveling with these two gentlemen from Europe for about 3 weeks or so. This video is actually their video of our same trip. Their video uses completely separate footage than I used, but below I will include a link to the video I took, as well as to their channel. Enjoy.
Hi everyone. Okay, so with Pete and I having finished the Trans-American Trail, the TAT, the next stage of our journey is to do hopefully an interesting route down through the States to the Mexican border and then crossing to Mexico for our onward journey. So if I flick the camera around and see the approximate route we're going to take. Okay, so stage one is to hug the coast in Oregon, heading south, and basically as much as possible keep to the coast all the way down to San Francisco. Then from San Francisco it's carry on down the coast, so the Big Sur, about halfway to LA, turn east 400 miles or so across the Mojave Desert, join historic Route 66, and then head south through the Phoenix area, through Arizona to the Mexican border. So riding south on Route 101, south in California. Lovely road, mainly coastal, but we've ducked off into the Valley of the Redwoods, which is absolutely awesome. Don't know how it'll come out on the video, but this is the little road you ride through, and it's basically the giant redwoods everywhere. So if I just show you kind of where we are, get a bit of perspective, they just go up and up and up, seemingly forever. What a fantastic little road. So this is John.
Hello, everyone.
Who we met at our last campsite. Who's a biker, and he very kindly offered to put us up at a house he's minding for the time being in Napa Valley, because we needed somewhere to stay for 2 or 3 days while we got some parts shipped to a place in San Francisco where we're going to get them fitted. So John, just tell us, I know you've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel called Vagabum. When I'm not taking care of strange Brits in a house sat villa, I travel around the country on my motorcycle and practice vagrancy.
So that's great. So what does the channel cover?
We talk about motorcycle, camping, travel, and adventure. So I travel around the United States and show people the gear that they do that they need to travel like this.
Right.
I do gear reviews, the places to set up your camp, and how to find cheap or discounted or free camping.
Awesome. That's great. Well, look, really appreciate your hospitality.
Oh, you guys have been tremendous guests, and I'm so glad that you guys came and stayed for a few
That's
days.
good of you. So we're going to poddle off now down to San Francisco, get the parts fitted, and head south.
Nice to meet you all.
Well, just woken up at the house we're staying at with John and Katie, and I don't know if you'll be able to see behind me because the sun's just rising, but it's an incredible sight. I'll swing it round, and there's hot air balloons. It's the Napa Valley behind us with the mist, which John says is one of the reasons that the wine grows so well here. And I don't know if you can see them, but there's some hot air balloons just floating around in the distance. Very, very cool. So we got our new front tyres on in San Francisco yesterday, but unfortunately the chain and sprockets haven't turned up. They've disappeared into the US Postal Service, so we're trying to track them down. But anyway, we moved on from San Francisco and rode down the coast, and we camped last night here, which is just by the coast, as you can see, in Santa Cruz, just past Santa Cruz. And John's come along with us for a few days, so that's really nice. We're heading off today down the coastal road, Highway 1, which is the Big Sur, which should be pretty spectacular if the mist lifts. And then we're going to duck inland, and we're going to head towards an area where we think the San Andreas Fault is visible. So we'll crack on and see where we get to. We've just stopped on the Big Sur just to pop into the Henry Miller Memorial Library. Henry Miller is a famous writer, and this is a rather strange sort of memorial environment set up by one of his friends. So let's go and have a look. So this is where we camped last night, in a place called Posada Panzer, which is in the Navajo Flats, so very sort of desert region. Quite interesting, actually. This area was, when it was a ranch, before it was Bureau of Land Management land. It was owned by the uncle of Frank and Jesse James, the Outlaws, in the sort of 1860s. Anyway, you can see the difference in climate, really, from the coast, where it was cool, or certainly a lot cooler, lush and green. And then as soon as we came over the mountains inland, it went up by a good 20 degrees Fahrenheit within probably 3/4 of an hour or so, and went from that lush green to what you can see around me now, sort of desert parched land, riding over completely dry riverbeds, a big drought problem here at the moment in California. So this area is about 20 odd miles from the sort of centre of the San Andreas Fault. So we're going to see if we can find that on our way east. And then we're heading over towards probably a day or two away from the sort of Route 66 area. So we've ridden away from the campsite this morning, across the Navajo Flats, and now we're crossing the Carrizo Plain. And then behind me is, we think, a salt lake. It's called Soda Lake, but I think that's probably just a name. But it looks like salt flats. So pretty cool. One thing I forgot to mention when we were back at the campsite was that we were woken up this morning to a pack of coyotes barking and howling at each other, which was a first for me. And another thing, it is very, very hot. So we're still riding through Carrizo Plain in the desert, and we have found the San Andreas Fault behind me. Have a little look at that, and John will tell us about it.
Yeah, if you look here, you can see where it's split roughly about 40 feet on this side, left 15 to 20 feet, island in the middle, and it's split about 30 feet on this side, and it just runs up for 100 miles. It's split like this, and that was only back in, I believe that was 1989. So in terms of geology, it wasn't very long ago.
Does it still move?
Yes. Yeah, it still moves. You know, every time we get an earthquake, it'll move inches or feet.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Welcome to the San Andreas Fault, everyone.
So we're riding on. We just stopped for a quick snack at a taco van behind me, which is delicious. And it's heating up. It's now just nudging about 106, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know what that is in Celsius. Something like 40 odd, high 30s to 40. Pretty hot. Need a cool down. It's seriously hot.
Hey guys, so I ran out of gas, and this kind man just found him in the middle of the desert. I'm out of gas and out of water. Boom, gas can, problem solved. I have a YouTube channel.
I'll be over there.
Thank you, sir.
So it was a hot ride this morning through the Mojave Desert. We had to go on the freeway, unfortunately, because the old bit of the Route 66 was up for repair or something. and it's about at the moment 40 odd degrees, about 110. So we've come off the freeway because John has found us this little oasis by the Colorado River for a quick swim before we head on. Check that out. So stopped in this cool little town of Oatman on very historic Route 66, and we found this cool little bar just to have a bit of grubbing before we head on. Check it out. So we've stopped at Oatman and we just have a little look round, and we were just having a bit of a sandwich, and John was telling us some bits and bobs. Just tell us about that stuff again, John.
Yeah, so this was founded as a gold mine in 1912. They brought a bunch of burros here, a bunch of donkeys, and when the mines shut down, they released the donkeys, so now there's a bunch of wild donkeys around here. From 1912 until 1920, there were 8,000 people at this little town, which now has, what do you think, 50 people maybe? Yeah, this is, we're actually standing in what used to be an old hotel that had 47 rooms.
And you were saying, we were just having a chat at lunch, and you were saying about the road we're going to go out on to the west is really, really steep.
Yes.
And it's kind of weird how they used to use it.
Yeah, and so and it was so steep that you had to drive up it backwards. You had to drive in reverse. And it's actually the place we're going to go to is called Cool Springs. And it was the inspiration for the Disney movie Cars. And so it was, in the Disney film, it was called Radiator Springs. But it's called Cool Springs. And it's the same storyline. You know, there was a petrol station, and the new highway kind of went around that station, and everything kind of fell to rubbish. So we get to live in a cartoon for a little bit.
How cool is that? Morning everyone. We stayed in Kingman last night on Route 66 with John's uncle, which was fantastic. And we've left this morning and we're heading east along the historic part of Route 66, stopping at some of the sort of preserved attractions, as it were, along the way. And the first one we've stopped at is the Hackberry General Store. So let's go and have a look. So we're riding south through Arizona. I just thought I'd stop here for a minute. We're in a place called the Tonto Basin, which is obviously a sort of desert landscape. But the different thing here is we've got all these, if you can see behind me, these huge cacti everywhere. So it's a really cool landscape, very, very hot. It's about 44 degrees at the moment, and it's only about 11 o'clock in the morning. But a very, very cool ride. So we're heading south towards the Mexican border. Probably make Tucson, I think, this evening. We're about parallel with Phoenix at the moment, I think. So about 2 days from the Mexican border. So we're in Tucson, Arizona, and we've just stopped off this morning at this Cycle Skis and ATVs place, as our sprockets have eventually caught up with us. So we're getting chains and sprockets on, and I'm getting them to just crimp some wires and stuff to some spot lights I've just put on because mine packed in, and some bits and bobs like that, get them ship shape before we get into Mexico. So then once we're done here, we're going to head down to a little town on the border with Mexico. We've been advised to get the paperwork done one day prior to entering first thing in the morning the following day, so that'll be tomorrow. The reason being that the area immediately sort of south of the border into Mexico is not ideal, and they've suggested that you want a full day's riding to get away from that border area. So we'll hopefully get the paperwork done this afternoon and cross into Mexico tomorrow morning.